I'm live. Hello, and welcome to the Rojan Kim cast. It's me, Rojan Kim, coming to you from the bunker, coming to you from Hollywood, California, coming to you from the center of the communist takeover of the United States of America. We're losing our freedoms, everybody. Freedoms. We're it's safer in place. It's just a euphemism for taking at home, sheltering in place. I I am having a great time. I've been doing this. I was doing this before it was cool. Huh? You probably heard that one. Probably heard that one. Huh? I was avoiding people before it was cool. I was social distancing before it was cool and all that. I'm sure you're aware. I can't. I was doing these Corona jokes a while back. My last set was the 5th of March. Shout out to Lila Hart giving me a spot at the Acme Theater. I feel like I don't like the theater, but I like Lila. She's awesome, and she put me up. So if I can thank you, shout out to her and Eric. I know you guys are probably out there, whatever. Listen. At this point, I feel the safest around a bunch of Asians in masks. Okay, that's just how it. I mean, this is that because the masks they help from the particles in the breath going through, and there's some rumor. Some people are saying online, the scientists are discovering that the coronavirus, it's kind of big, it's spiky, and so it does get caught on masks. Maybe it helps. I don't fucking know. I don't know. Okay? You know what I do know is I am tired of white people telling me how to be offended and telling me how to act, behave, and telling me all about this pandemic, okay? Fucking the Asian it's these white ladies, and God bless them. Hey, I don't. Who doesn't like a white lady? I don't mind. It's fine. It's fine, white lady. I understand. I'm very concerned. But and of course these are all online interactions now. I am online even more now, thank God. Um, I don't know, man. I just feel like this is just the beginning, everybody. Like, do you understand? I mean, barely the beginning. We're barely at the beginning. People are fucking losing their minds already. I know it's gonna be in about 1 week. It's religion. Religion's gonna come to the fore. People are gonna just be like religion, God, turn to God as the people around them start getting sick, as their loved ones start getting sick, as the possibility creeps in that maybe they're the ones who got them sick. All these things. It's bad enough right now. People are barely comprehending the idea that a wave of illness is coming. People have a hard time comprehending exponentiality. We've been talking about that. People have a hard time comprehending a lot of stuff. So, look, I get it. I'm not blaming people or nothing, but, it's just fascinating to see how people behave. That's really what it is. It's really just like, wow, people like, people really deal with crazy situations very differently. And it's fascinating to see, because you got the people who are, I think there's a whole spectrum, right? So let's just start with the fear. You kind of got your like fear and then your skepticism. And I suppose you got your rational, irrational. Yeah, so it's like rational versus irrational, right? That's sort of the spectrum. And at the very fringe and skepticism, like outright skepticism, over skepticism, if that's a word. And then you got your irrational part, and at the very, 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 very extreme of that is panic, right? Just not even thinking, just panicking. And I see people just kind of bouncing back and forth, swaying back and forth, and some are kind of in the middle. Most people are thankfully like in the middle, and that makes sense because we are just sheep, okay? We're just we're social creatures, and for us to survive, the majority of us have to be like in consensus and be like, all right, this is the right thing to do, and then we all just kind of agree. And then you have people on the extremes, right? You got people on the extremes being like, you guys aren't doing enough, and being like, ah, and people on the other extremes being like, you guys are crazy for doing anything, nothing's wrong. Okay, completely natural, but then as time progresses, we see who's right. And the thing is, I understand the skepticism. Like, why should we trust the authorities? Why should we trust the government? Why do we know? How do we know that they're not trying to impose martial law and take away our free? Like, this is it. This is how they do it. You know. Well, I feel like they could have done that in 9/11, but they didn't. So I guess you're saying they made this is a hoax. A lot of people believe. Okay, so I'm gonna tackle the skepticism, right? Let's tackle the skepticism. Because on one hand, people are like, it's a hoax. This is a hoax. There's not even. There's no virus at all. It's not even. So like. So then, okay. So we can go with like the Chinese were making it up, or we're making it up about the Chinese. Okay, we can go there. That's fine. The next thing is that I guess Iran and Italy are making it up, and now all these other countries are making it up too. So basically, the whole world is in on it. A hoax, giant hoax. Okay. On top of that, everybody in the United States, every single governor, not every single governor, but all these governors are acting in collusion to lock down the cities, quarantine everything. And then the health professionals and the people getting sick, they're all either crisis actors or it's all made up. I mean, this is all, so it's kind of, at some point, it just feels like being over skeptical is like your head's in the sand. Like you're just not la 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 la. And at some point, it seems kind of like you've gone past, you know what I mean? You've gone past that side of the spectrum and then ended up on the other side of the fringe. Because that over skepticism, in a way, I feel like is a fear response. You know what I mean? It's like the normalcy bias. You know, I think I mentioned that. The idea that most people in times of disaster are just assuming that things will go back to normal because everything's normal usually. Why won't it just go back to normal? Why is this happening? There's no way this is happening to us. There's no way. No. And then that, you know, and that's the thing. And because of that, people die, right? People just die. And so it's best. In some ways, I feel like that's like there's like the flight, fight, and freeze response. And in some ways, over skepticism is kind of like freezing, in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Of course, panicking is not the answer. Of course, running with your head cut off is not the answer. But you want to know facts. You want to try to be ahead of the curve. You want to understand what's going on. You got to trust science and data at this point. You know, like skepticism is good, but you got to trust that people around the world are actually telling the truth and not. I feel like when you're like when your view of the world is conspiratorial and you just believe that everything is this sort of conspiracy of people who are incredibly competent at running everything and obfuscating everything, and I think it all kind of just fits in. It's a form of confirmation bias. But here's the thing: it's chaos, guys. It's chaos. There's no competence. It's not competent. Look at everything. Listen, you look at any major endeavor of a government, and you don't find competence. You know, maybe you do in retrospect, in some point, hundreds of years later, maybe. But let's like the invasion of Iraq. You would think that it's the world's most powerful nation, most powerful military. We got all the intelligence. We got everything. You think that most people just believe that like if we're gonna execute something like that, it would be well thought out, right? Well thought out. Plan it all out. Get all the fucking ducks in a row. But no. A post-mortem of it, that and all of our wars. You find out that no, it's actually kind of like a weird middle management bung. Like at this point, you don't need the federal government too large. This country is too large. Unless we go China. Unless we go full China. Have an authoritarian government where everything is fucking locked down, one party rule, one government. It's just not gonna work. better to die standing than on my knees. And that's America, and God bless it. I do love it for that. I love it for that reason. And because of that, we gotta do our best. We're not Asia. It's just not gonna happen. So what do? We do the best we can. In some ways, it's too late, right? The curve's coming. It's too late. I mean, 2 weeks ago, what we're seeing now this week is shit from 2 weeks ago, and so on and so forth. So we're in it, guys. We're in it to win it. And that's why I feel like in this time, it is so important to continue to blame Republicans or the Democrats, whichever side you're on, for this crisis that hasn't even hit us yet. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. That's the whole thing. It's like now is not the time. This is like if a fire is coming toward your town, and then you just start arguing over, what if Pepsi or Coke is better. Like, who gives a fuck? Who cares? Use it to put out the fire. Use it all to put out. Like who? Like everybody's like, oh, Trump, Trump handling. I get it. I'm no fan of the guy. You could have done better, sure. You could have done better, but you know what? Then everybody would have been like, Trump is a dictator. This is the time when Trump is a dictator. If Trump did some China shit, he would have been called Hitler. It would be like, this is it. He's being called Hitler now. Doesn't matter, right? He's like, let the chips fall. Think that Trump, cares about us. But honestly, no politician or celebrity, none of these motherfuckers care about you. Do you understand? Gal Gadot and whoever the fuck all singing Imagine. They don't, you know what they're imagining? They're imagining themselves in a bunker with all the health care and you dying, okay? They're imagining the poor coughing themselves dead, okay? Until one day they can finally be free to go finish that scene they were shooting, all right? That's what they care about, okay? Politicians are no different, but DC is ugly LA. They don't give a fuck about us, man. You see this shit? They're fucking insider trading. Democrats and Republicans. You think they give a fuck about us? They don't give a fuck about us, man. Yeah! That's why I usually go full Alex Jones. Going full Alex Jones, everybody. Oh, no, yeah. Partisanship, left, right, blue, red. It doesn't matter anymore. It's red, white, and blue, everybody. There's no us. There's no us and them. There's no anything. It's the CCP. It's the CCP, Xi Jinping. The CCP, the virus it comes out of Wuhan, and we don't have to call it the China virus. We can call it the CCP virus. That's what. Actually, that is what Steve Bannon is calling it. That is a Steve Bannon talking point. Fuck. They're gonna pin me as a Nazi for sure, man. Fuck, they're gonna come after me. Asian Nazi Rojan Kim. Dude, they used one of my tweets. Okay. So yeah, there's this whole thing of China, of Trump calling it the China virus. And they're like, why do you keep doing that? Stop calling it the China virus. And he's like, China virus. And they're like, stop calling it China. And it's like, listen, hey guys, look, I get it. I actually get it. Trust me. I have been beaten. I have had lemons thrown at me. Okay. As a kid, I grew up here, or I grew up in LA. I went to public school. Like, I get it. I am the #1 victim of anti-Asian racism. You understand? Because I'm not even like a hot chick. You know what I mean? I'm like worthless. Throw rocks at me. I'm the first one to go. But so I get it. Irresponsible, yes, for the president. Call it a Chinese virus without taking into consideration Asian Americans, and also taking into consideration how the media is regularly weaponizing everything he says. Okay, so it probably was not smart. Probably he should have. Unfortunately, our great leader lacks the eloquence to say, I don't mean Chinese people, I mean Chinese government. Like, he just, you know what I mean? Like, unfortunately, everybody in government is too retarded to just say the simple phrase, of course not Chinese people. The Chinese people are heroes. The Chinese people are under the tyranny of the Chinese government. We can't do that, because honestly, I think a lot of it is because America's hands are kind of tied by China. First off, all of our medical farm, part of why we're, they're talking about, they're talking about all that. The reason they're talking about all this flattening the curve stuff is because we don't have the medical supplies or the ventilators, because the motherfuckers, the neoliberal fucks, they decided, we got a global supply chain now. Why do we need to have stockpiles of anything? We should just fucking, we just order it every week, and it just comes from China regularly, and that's just everything just, the whole world just goes like clockwork, and nothing could ever disrupt it, like a war or a pandemic or, nothing would ever, or the fact that everybody makes things in China, and if a disease ever hit China, then the world, China, and then the whole world gets the disease. Kind of like what's happening now, right? So trust me, I get it. Listen, I went on that bad eating tirade. The whole caveat about, like, I get it. I get the anti-Asian thing. Not trying to fan the flames of anti-Asian sentiment or racism. I'm not trying to do that, okay? I'm not trying to fan any flames. I'm not trying to, you know what I mean? Nobody be racist or mean, but let's just put into context the idea that people's feelings getting hurt maybe being hit even, me being the one hit, and sure, parents, I get it, a lot of people, versus millions of people dying, versus those people dying, just dying, ventilators, having no ventilators because we have a supply chain bottleneck, not because of China, but because of our dealings with China, because we decided money over everything, including the bodies of the dead. That's what it's all about, okay? So, anyways, one of my tweets got used because I said, hey, instead of the Chinese food is no longer PC, please call it Corona food from now. And this website called Crooks and Liars. It's called Crooks and Liars, and it looks like it's a super lefty, I'd say past the Democratic establishment left. Looks like they're kind of my people actually, but it's a sycophant OANN America. Wait, One American News Network. OANN reporter schooled after asking Trump if Chinese food is racist. So literally a sycophant. Why is that in the headline? Sycophant saying that she loves Trump, and then why would she ask that? So she, you know what I'm saying? So her name is Chanel Rion. Okay, she seems to be like 12 or 18. I'm sure she's an adult, but she's a reporter. She's a professional. She's more qualified than I am. Look at me. I'm some jack off at home making jokes. But Chanel Rion. Okay, so then I clicked on her thing. Conway on President Trump's use of China virus, insisting us. P.S. I'm a Asian. Facts don't offend. So she's like one of those. Wait. So I clicked on her. Hold on. Clicked on her fucking thing. She's Korean. Boom. Followed. She's like a young. So she's a Korean American patriot. She's one of those. I think America First motherfuckers, which is she's super patriotic. America First, which is whatever, man. I don't know. You know, I'm not. I can't rightly be like, yeah, I'm for this team or that. I just don't. I believe in nothing. You know, I'm not truly a nihilist. It's just when your own parents kind of fuck you up and abandon you and neglect you. Yeah, I don't believe in stuff. I just don't believe in stuff, and that's just me. I am not saying the other stuff because that's. I'm not saying the other stuff isn't real because I believe in science and I believe in all of that. Anyways, this whole kung flu fucking. Oh, and I guess the hilarious thing is there's this one reporter who said somebody said kung flu to her, and then she was like shocked. I do it, right? And she went on Twitter, and then everybody this whole surge of like, don't call it this and don't call it that, and like people probably think I'm a right-wing nut for just being like, yeah, well, the rest of Asia is like, yeah, it's Chinese, man. The rest of Asia doesn't want you to. See, America is particularly racist in its attempt to be not racist. You understand? Because by saying Chinese is race, actually grouping all Asian people under the umbrella of Chinese, which is racist. That's sort of the nuances lost there. So maybe what we got to do is you got to understand that there's a difference between the government, Chinese government, and the people. And when we say Chinese, it's not the government. Like just when we say, what the fuck is America doing? You know, I'm not talking about the people. Like America's in 7 wars. I'm talking about the people. We're talking about the government. That's what we're critical of, right? So, okay, I agree. The idea that the CCP tried to cover up the virus at a crucial point when they could have contained it, alerted the world. There's estimates something like 95% of the infections could have been stopped if they had acted faster, done something faster, or at least tried not to cover it up. I mean, hey, who knows if it was our, listen, the U.S. did it. I don't know who wasn't a linchpin on this relationship between China making everything and shipping everything to the world just in time, okay, at the lowest possible price. That people would rather pay China less money to get their shit cheaper, okay, and just not have it around. Like that's what we decided with hospital beds, ICU, fucking shit, like the respirators, masks, all the shit. Okay, it's completely. I wish there was someone like the fucking news. I just don't get why are people turning to the traditional. I mean, even I am. And I guess it's fear. But who even knows if how much of the government is going to be up and running? I mean, they're all old. They're all not all, but a good portion of them. They're they're gonna get a hit, man. The country's gonna get hit, and it's not just old people. That's so dumb. Here's the big thing. People are trying to grasp onto something in the chaos. Makes sense. That's why they turn to religion. That's why I keep saying this is this many and this many, and it's like, you know, hey, this thing is like 5 months old. It's very young. It's barely, no, it came out in November. This thing's like 4 months. Could mutate. The numbers may not all be in. The Chinese government could be definitely suppressing some of the information. Now, South Korea, Italy, I'm sure they're not, so we're getting fucked right now, so we're going to get those numbers. We're getting numbers now. Okay, we're getting them. And then the view will change. And then what? And then what, right? Then it changes. And so that's the thing. That's the thing about science. And I think not necessarily. It's correlation, not causation. Understanding those things. I'm not saying I'm some fucking genius, but I am a nerd. I am a nerd, and I did spend a lot of time learning about science and trying to and figuring and understand. Okay, maybe the one thing is that what I understand is that I don't actually understand science, so I can trust the people who do understand the science to help interpret for me the science. About some white lady who's telling me about masks and how masks don't work and blah blah blah, and then I was like, yeah, but Asian countries use masks and they seem to be managing their shit better, and if anything, how about that? Okay, I have to fucking cite her a goddamn government paper, science paper to do it, right? Yeah, well, anyways, this other white lady was kind of, because I'm kind of trolling some of my friends, some of my white, and I'm like putting up the paper, like that little snapshot. I have a screenshot of the science paper that shows that the Hong Kong scientists were like warning people about the bat eating, about the SARS and the bat eating, about how the scientists were warning them. And I would do that, and then some lady would be like, "Well, it's not. This isn't. It's the same thing. A bunch of other Chinese scientists saying like, don't eat those bats." I mean, they don't say that. I'm just being funny by saying that. But there's an association between SARS-like viruses and bats and transmission to humans from those bats, and probably wet markets and butchering and unhygienic practices are a vector of that. Okay, so we got into this back and forth, and then she was kind of arguing, and she's like, "I've done my thesis," so I'm not arguing. I don't want to be one of those guys. I'm not mansplaining her expertise to her. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, hey, then help me understand. Help me understand, but it's also possible because bats are so mobile that it could have happened. And so I totally admit that. I'm with it. Listen. I'm half joking, saying it's literally from eating a bat. Okay, it's not literally from eating a bat, but it's just from bat contact, right? Even the bat poop gets on your hands, you don't wash it, and it gets in your eye. That you get it, and the bat. Well, actually, it seems to go from bat to pangolin. So it's fucking don't put the bats by the pangolins. I don't know. And the only time that seems to be happening is when they're eating them. Point taken, though, science lady. No, I was like, hey, science lady, you're right. And then I asked her about what about the bushmeat in Africa with HIV, and then she was like, man, you're obsessed with this eating animals thing, yeah? And I'm like, yeah, I am. It's fucking crazy. And she was like, yeah, that is the consensus is that in Africa, HIV probably started from simian SIV, right? A simian with SIV being butchered, and the blood or the fecal matter getting onto the person, and then either a cut or unhygienically didn't wash his hands, so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? So that's a common thing, and that there's an HIV-C apparently in Brazil, a whole other thing to learn, and that they think is definitely a jungle type transmission. So monkeys, bats, disgusting, gross. They're all gross, disgusting creatures. I'm not saying to get rid of them. I'm just saying stop eating them. I mean, okay, fine. And okay, I get it. It's like it's their culture. It's their culture. I get it. It's their culture. Then fucking at least have some regulations, like clean the bats. I don't know. Fucking test the bats. Test them. Test the bats. I don't know. Do something. Just don't fucking chop them up and eat them and get bat poop on your hands and get all these people infected. All right, okay. Pangolin poop. People are arguing with me. It was a pangolin. That's a good idea. We should be communicating with the healthcare worker at work. She was like, we're slammed right now. I'm just having this, passing the time by having this Facebook conversation with me, which is fine. It's the least I can do for our healthcare professionals out there. They're the real heroes, and I get it. Everybody's saying weed delivery guys, which is true. Weed delivery guys, grocers, all of them, they're all fucking courageous. They're on the front lines. They're like soldiers out there. But the fucking real soldiers, the real front line, is goddamn health professionals. Goddamn, and so big ups to them. I'm saying some fucking, I don't hate Asians. I love them and doctors. The Asians are gonna get us out of this. I get it. The Chinese are probably going to get us out of this, even though they got us into it. Okay? But I think we should just not let the fear of racism obscure the truth, right? Because we want to prevent this. We want to be sure that things are, we hold people accountable. Make sure this doesn't happen again. This sucks, right? Anybody with me? Anybody with me? There's no watchers. No watchers on the live. I suck at the live stream again. It's whatever. Rosian Kidcast. Listen. Thanks. Thanks for listening. I'm gonna do these, I guess, like 3 times a week now. So I appreciate it. I hope you guys are staying safe. Staying safe is the new take care. So take care. Stay safe. Thanks for listening. Bye bye.